Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. We've got games from last week to go through, news, and of course games to come this week to predict. That's the word. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Share the podcast around. Anybody you know is a football fan, they might enjoy the podcast, so send it their way. And let's get this podcast out there. Right, let's get started. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Recording in progress.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is the sound that we've all come to love and cherish. That means the podcast has begun. Your audio and visual feast is upon you and is in your ear and eye holes as such. Welcome along to another thrilling week of football-based nonsense brought to you by the gang here at CookieCast. Obviously, I'm here in my capacity as your host. I'm joined by the leader of the CookieCast network, Mr. Andrew Cook. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, sir. Thank you very much.
Good.
I'm also joined by our Hull City correspondent, Mr. Stuart Woodmansey. How are you, sir?
Hello. I've been better from a football perspective.
Yeah, we'll get on to that later, don't worry about it. And rounding out the quartet, as it were, is our Nottingham Forest anchor, and I did say anchor, Mr. Matthew Moore. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm always sat on the edge of my seat waiting for the introductions. Never awkward at all.
It's another week on the podcast where, from a news perspective, there's very little to provide from a Middlesbrough perspective, as we have not signed anyone, we've not sold anyone. We have done something off the back of a game that happened this weekend that I'll talk about at the time. But as it stands, no news updates from a Middlesbrough perspective. How about you two boys? Is there anything to give from a Hull or Forest? I know there's something to give from a Forest perspective.
There is a little bit of business been done this week. Not groundbreaking. They've not broken the bank to go and sign the next Ronaldo or Messi, but they have returned Harvey Vale to Chelsea after a bit of a somewhat disappointing loan spell. Young kid, brought him there to play. He hardly played, but Harvey Vale was the striker, not the keeper.
Right, okay.
But he hardly played, like I said, and the chances that he did have, particularly in the FA Cup game against Fulham, where he was clean through one-on-one versus the keeper and goosed it. So he's been sent back to the south. But we have made a loan signing from Crystal Palace until the end of the season by the name of Malcolm Ebiowei. I think that's how we pronounce it. Good luck when we all predict that one, for writing that one in the book. He's a 19-year-old winger, and he's linking back up with Liam Rosenior. They know each other from their days at Derby. He has played for England and the Netherlands at youth level, which is probably one of those interesting facts that will come up on a quiz if he ever makes it big. He's currently made 5 appearances in total for Palace this season, 3 of which were in the Premier League. So they've used him sparingly, but he's clearly needing some game time. So let's hope that, let's say, Rosenior knows him already from the time that they've spent together. So hopefully I think he was described by Rosenior actually as his top attacking target for the January window, and was very pleased to have got it done. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Very, very nice. And yes, I do know that there's been one man through the door at Nottingham Forest. Has he been joined by anyone else, or has he passed anyone on the way out?
So, what you're referring to is obviously Chris Woods, signed from Newcastle on loan with the usual smug Sky Sports obligation to buy if targets are met kind of thing for 15 million, which is, not that we like to kind of rub it in with the mags every now and again, but that's a £10 million loss on the investment they made last Christmas. So there we go. Chris Wood's in. What we could talk about. Obviously, he made his debut on Saturday. On the way out, we had a French defender signed under quite a bit of fanfare. They signed him from PSG, Loic Mbe-So, and he's joined a French second tier side on loan till the end of the season. He's never really kind of settled in at Forest, to be honest. He's settled in, just never played. And then we've also loaned one of our youth kind of like in the first team squad, but youth kind of thing. Aaron Donnelly has signed for Vale gone to Port Vale on loan for the rest of the season as well, just to get some game time. I think he's in that kind of crop of players that are potential, but needs to go and get some games. Not going to get any at Forest, so out he goes on loan. So there you go. Lots and lots of rumours, as there tends to be around Forest. But a goalkeeper, please, and a defender, please. That's the two things that we really could do with.
Very nice.
I thought for a second you said Aaron Connolly. I was like, what? He's gone already?
I did notice Mr. Woodmansey's shock, and then remembered that he hasn't seen him play enough. So if he had left that quickly, he would definitely be happy about it. Anyway, we'll jump straight back in. So week 23's games, there were 4 of them, one each across the league competition and a League Cup semi-final that may or may not still be ongoing, but that would be giving away the recording schedule, so I won't say that. So, we jump straight in for a Friday night fixture that saw Sheffield United take on Hull City. How did this one pan out, Mr. Hull City man?
I've been called worse. Weirdly, considering that ultimately Hull lost 1-0, probably in some ways better than I expected. In some ways, absolutely not. So the goal came after 4 minutes. Jebison for Sheffield United. It's his first goal since May 21. So, that age-old thing, if you've been shit for ages, play against one of our teams. But Hull actually put up a bit of a decent fight. It got real tetchy. So, in the entire game, Sheffield United had 6 yellow cards. Hull had 2 yellow cards, but unfortunately had a red card also, as Benjamin Tete got sent off in the 84th minute. Now, having seen this back, he was always going to get sent off, but it's one of them things where you see it and you think, that was just ridiculous. So, you can see everybody's favourite Sheffield United player, Ollie McBurney, absolutely winding him up. And it's not like that guy, should be in prison for thuggery or anything at this point, not playing football. But unfortunately, Tete, probably as the new boy, not really had a chance to settle in the league, probably isn't quite used to the dark arts, shall we say, that occur over here just yet. Lost his head a little bit and attempted to headbutt him. Now, had he been sent off for connecting with the headbutt, at least we'd have something to be pleased about in this regard, because as I mentioned, it was Ollie McBurney. But unfortunately, just the motion of the headbutt was enough for the referee to dismiss him, giving Hull a bit of an uphill struggle for the last sort of 6 to 10 minutes, including injury time. However, they did all right. I expected them to get absolutely smashed, and they didn't. And the reports every report I've seen said that they put up a fight, and you can't really ask for any more than that, especially in front of a sold-out away end as well. So, not amazing, because obviously Tete is now suspended for the next 3 games in that regard, but the goal difference didn't take a hammering, so we move on.
Absolutely. From a predictions perspective, Mr. Cook went for the optimistic 1-0 away win with Estepinian to score the goal. Sadly, he gets no points. Myself, Mr. Woodmansey and Mr. Moore had all gone for varying different degrees of Sheffield United wins, so do get ourselves a point for that. I went for 3-0, Stu went for 2-0, Matt went for 2-1. Sadly, none of us had picked Jebison to score, so just get the 1 point from Sheffield United win. We move on.
We picked a guy who... We didn't pick a guy who hadn't scored for nearly 2 years, is what you mean.
I mean, you might say that.
I don't want to let people under the hood of how I research my goal scorers. I look at the top goal scorers for each club on the BBC website, and I go, they seem to score very often. So if they haven't scored in a year, probably not going to be on my list of possible kind of targets for people to score.
We've been doing ourselves out of points all this time. We need to start doing this. Right, who am I playing this week and who hasn't scored for at least 6 months?
Now, you may all listening to this think, oh, Stu, what a silly, silly man. No, he knows exactly how our teams play and exactly how they end up getting scored against. So he's absolutely spot on with his argument, to be fair. So, 1 game down. We moved to the Saturday fixture that saw Bournemouth take on Nottingham Forest. Now, how did this one go, Mr. Nottingham Forest man?
I meant to do the research on this before, and I completely forgot to do it. But apparently, Forest haven't beaten Bournemouth in a long, long time, which should have been something we factored into our predictions last week.
Yeah.
And the trend continued of Forest not beating Bournemouth in a long, long time, because it came out as a 1-1 draw. From the highlights and stuff like that, it seemed like Forest had the better of it. The statistics certainly show that Forest had the better of it. It looked like they'd taken the lead early on in the first half, only for it to be cancelled out for offside, I think. But it looked very kind of... Oh yeah, Willy Bolly was like, his little pink, the nail of his pinky was just ahead of the defender, so he was offside. I mean, the offside, don't get me started on the offside rule, it's absolutely mental. But so he's offside, but Marcus Rashford for the goal in the other week in the Manchester derby wasn't that.
I think what you'll find out is where they've gone wrong is that Forest didn't pay somebody to edit him out of the picture as they were trying to use that to prove. Did you see all that stuff? Oh, if Rashford wasn't stood here, edit him out of the screenshot. Yeah, well, that wasn't offside then, was it? No, but Rashford was there.
He was there, stood in between the defender and the ball, so that he couldn't get it or kick it out.
Absolutely baffled.
So yes, goal from Ryan Yates cancelled off. Then down the other end, Jadon Anthony, I think.
Yep.
It was a really nice finish. I think that one of their new signings crossed it into him. He took a nice touch and stuck it in the far corner. It might say poor defending. It looked quite an open kind of attack. So then, obviously, Forest came back and they had a good few chances. Morgan Gibbs White looked really good, kind of orchestrating stuff as well. Ryan Yates went off injured. We kind of spoken about this, and he was kind of possibly injured. Went off early in the first half. But one thing we did forget: 2 rules that we could have followed for the Cookie Cast football predictions. 1, all Surridge used to play for Bournemouth, and also scored his first Premier League goal. All right, so there we go. Two things to help you make a prediction. Have they not scored? I mean, obviously he's scored recently in the Championship, but never scored in the Premiership before. And old boy rule. So yeah, Sam Surridge scores a late equaliser. Again, went to VAR, but it counted because he was behind the ball when it was played or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, 1-1 draw takes Forest up to 13th.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's two things to pick off your standard weekly CookieCast bingo card. Old boy rule and first in a competition. So, predictions-wise, both Stu and Andy had gone for 1-0 Nottingham Forest wins. No points there. Gibbs White and Johnson to score those respective goals. No points. I had gone for a 2-1 Nottingham Forest win. Moore to score for Bournemouth. Johnson and Scarpa to score for Nottingham Forest. No points there. Mr. Matthew Moore, though, he knows his boys. 1-1 draw. 2 points right off the bat there for Mr. Moore. Picked Solanke and Gibbs White to score the goals. So sadly, no more points there. So, didn't give the scores after the first game, I realised. After 2 games of the week, myself, Stuart, and Matt had 1 point from the first game. Matt obviously picked up 2 points from the second game, so Matt on 3. Myself and Stu on 1. Andy yet to score. The third game of the week took place on Sunday and was a North East It's Not a Derby, as apparently, whenever asked, Sunderland fans don't class Middlesbrough as a derby, yet obviously when they win, they like to act as if it's the FA Cup final or something like that, which just happened to be the case, as Sunderland did run out as 2-0 winners for their first win in the Teeswin derby in 11 years, sorry. Fairly quiet first half. There was a couple of chances for either side. I missed the first 10 or 15 minutes as I was still out in the shops, sadly. But I understand that the Middlesbrough keeper, Zach Steffen, didn't really claim an effort. The ball went out to Diallo and he should have done better. With a chance in the first half, Middlesbrough could have scored towards the end of the first half. Had a couple of good chances through fours. Sadly, weren't able to take them. And then at the start of the second half is where it all went to shit, dare I say. Ross Stewart was put clean through with a through ball. And Dale Fry tried to track him all the way. Little pull on the shirt, something like that. And from about, dare I say, the edge of the centre circle, Ross Stewart was looking to go down, but just was obviously looking to go down, but realised, if I could just hold this until I get anywhere near the penalty area and just go down there, I might win a penalty and I might get the guy sent off. And he got both. So the contact took place outside the area, so it was never a penalty in the first place. And yes, Dale Fry sent off for being the last man. Middlesbrough appealed the decision and were rejected. So yes, Dale Fry now misses the next 3 games for that straight red card. Ross Stewart took the penalty. The penalty was saved, but the ball rebounded straight to his path, so he stuck away the rebounds to get the first goal. Middlesbrough then had a couple of chances to try and equalise, but sadly were not able to. And the scoring was completed by Amad Diallo with about 5 or 10 minutes left to go. So Sunderland run out 2-0 winners. Middlesbrough failed to score for the first time in the Michael Carrick era. Predictions-wise, myself and Stuart both gone for 2-1 Borough wins. McGree and Akpom to score for me. Crooks and McGree to score for Stu. We had both picked Stuart to score for Sunderland, so we do get a point there. Andy had gone for a 2-0 Middlesbrough win, so got the right score, just got it the wrong way round. Fours and Akpom to score, still no points for Mr. Cook, sadly. Mr. Moore had taken a 2-2 draw, Akpom and Fours to stop Middlesbrough. And also picked Stuart for a brace, so gets himself a point there. So, point each for myself, Stuart and Matt. Moving me and Stu on to 2, and Matt on to 4 points for the week. Our final game takes us back to Nottingham, where we had Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United in the first leg of the semi-final of the League Cup. How did this one pan out in the end, Mr. Moore?
I think from reading the reports and the kind of text updates, it sounded like it was entertaining, a bit back and forth, a bit to and fro kind of thing. Forest gave as good as they got, possibly, at times, maybe. But have ended up getting stuffed 3-0. An early goal from Marcus Rashford, which I've seen, which was a very good goal. Bit of poor defending, but a good goal, good finish. So Rashford to open the scoring, but 6 minutes, that's not, it immediately puts you on the back foot. The Colossus that is Wout Weghorst got one just before the break. Obviously kind of 2-0 just before the break, and I think Forest had a decent stab at it from like after the first 10-15 minutes. They'd had a goal disallowed from VAR, a couple of good saves and stuff like that. But that kind of second goal kind of took the sting out of it, and then Fernandez getting one at the end of like 89-90 minutes, probably to kill not just the match but probably the tie-off, to be honest. But I think it's one of them ones. I don't know. It's been a nice cup run. I think realistically, coming up against Man United with the injuries that we've got, and obviously the fact that Henderson couldn't play against them as well, it's been nice. It's been a distraction, but now let's get focused on the league and staying up.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Obviously, had they been drawn against either of the other two sides left in the competition, you might have fancied their chances. But up against Man United, they haven't won a trophy for a long time. Well, I say a long time, 6 years or so, 7 years.
When they go 1 down as well so early, it's difficult because I imagine that the team talk for Cooper was something to the effect of, let's get ourselves to half time and then see what happens. And then 6 minutes in, they're on a bit of a loser and the game just opens up. I mean, the bit of the second half that I saw, it was very much back and forth, like almost basketball style, but you'd like you rightly said, Matt, for everything that Man United gave them, Forest were giving them it back. It's just that, unfortunately, United finished their chances.
I think that's the key thing. It's finishing into it. The big, the cliche, but also the kind of truth in it all of like, you got to finish your chances, you got to take your chances, you got to create good chances, and you got to finish them as well. So,
I'd like to see it back, but you're right about the keeper as well, because the Fernandez goal, all Popper on wrestling goal again by the look of it from what I saw on the dive.
Wasn't great.
At least we've got
Forest did have a goal ruled out as well for offside. I don't know if we covered that. Surrey scored, but it was ruled out for offside.
Surrey, like apparently his knee, like again, we talked the offside ruling is just shocking. It's like on a cold day, if you breathe and a bit of the steam comes out your mouth, that's going to be like offside, because the edge of the steam was just across, just ahead of the defender. Yeah,
I mean, I can't ever play football ever again, because I'm pretty sure that just by being like as rotund as I am, that my gut would just render me offside at all times. So.
His manchebs were just offside there.
Yeah. Anyway, from a prediction perspective, I was the optimistic one this week, and I'd gone for a 1-0 Forest win with Awoniyi to score the goal. Now, this was before we realised that Awoniyi was a Dunyi for at least another 6 to 8 weeks. So that was never going to happen. Mr. Cook had followed me in, sort of, with a 1-1 draw. He'd also gone for a Awoniyi, but had also picked Rashford to score for Manchester United. So gets himself on the board with his first point of the week. Lovely stuff. Mr. Stu had taken a 2-0 Manchester United win, so really cursing that Bruno Fernandes goal at the end of the game. Otherwise, he would have had 2 points. But he didn't have Rashford and Anthony to score, so he gets himself 2 points there. And Mr. Moore had 1-3 with Freuler to score for Forest, Garnacho, Fred and Rashford to score for Manchester United. So he gets himself 2 points. So to close out the week, Andy, 1 point from 4 games. Myself, 2 points from 4 games. Mr. Woodmansey, 4 points from 4 games. Very well played. But Mr. Moore takes the week with 6 points from 4 games. Week 24 then, it should be FA Cup 4th round weekend. But as we know, all our teams are utter wank and managed to get themselves they're not in the 3rd round. So, luckily for Hull and Borough, they do have league fixtures. And then Forest's fixture this week comes in the shape of the 2nd leg of the League Cup game. So, our first game of the week takes place in the East Riding. It is Hull City, and they are taking on Queen's Park Rangers. Mr. Woodmansey's team, therefore he will, of course, go last. So I'll jump in first of all here. I've got a nice 1-0 home win with Estepinian to score the goal. Mr. Cook, what have you got for this one?
I've got a 1-1 draw.
Interesting.
Estepinian to score for Hull. And Dykes to score for QPR.
Now, don't want to put too much of a mocker on him. Although it is our podcast, so I did see something where apparently he is the marksman in the division which is the most wasteful in front of goal. So that can obviously only mean one thing, is that the next time he plays one of our teams, he will of course net. Mr. Moore, what have you got for this one?
I've gone for a 1-1 draw as well.
Okay.
And I've gone for Estepinian and Willock.
Willock. Mr. Woodmansey, how's it going to pan out?
I have got Hull City 1, QPR 2.
Oh dear. Your Hull City goal scorer.
He's well overdue, and Andy will be kicking himself. Ryan Longman.
The lengthy man. Your QPR goal scorers.
Willock, because it rhymed with Pillock, and Dykes, because of what you said before.
So you've combined the 2 predictions before.
Mm-hmm.
Our next game takes us to Teesside, where we have Middlesbrough taking on Watford. My team, therefore I will go last. Stu, what have you got for this one?
Stick me down for Desmond. 2-2.
And your goal scorers?
Crooks and McGree. And Sarr and Bayo for Watford.
Bayo. Mr.
Bayo.
Cook.
I have a Borough 2-0.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Your goal scorers?
Fours and Tuba.
Fours and Akpapone. The goals have dried up a bit for Tubes the last couple of games, so he's definitely due.
What a shame, said Estepinian.
You want to watch your mouth, son. Mr. Moore, what have you got for this one?
I've gone for a 2-1 Watford win.
Ooh. Boo. Your goal scorers?
Tuba for Borough. And then Saw and Adeyemo.
Talk amongst yourselves. Just want to double check that one.
ADE YEMO.
Lovely. I have gone for a 1-1 draw. I've gone for Tuba to score for the Borough and Sarr to score for Watford. Our final game of the week, as we previously said, does take us over to Manchester, where Manchester United take on Nottingham Forest in the second leg of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Andy, what have you got for this one?
One all draw.
Nice. Goal scorers?
Was this Forest United again?
Yes, but it's at Manchester United.
Yeah. I had two sets of predictions mixed, but then I was like, hang on a minute, that's the same game. So I got very confused. So I had a 1 year down to score for Forest, and then remembered that's probably going to be a little difficult for him. So I went with Gibbs White, and I've got Rashford for United.
Stu?
I think that third, as Matt alluded to, I think that third goal's probably just killed it a little bit. So I expect there to be not an entire second string United side out, but I imagine the subs bench from this evening may be emptied onto the starting 11. So I've gone for Manchester United 2, Forest 0. And I've gone for Anthony, seeing as I asked for him to score last week and he never. And Elanga.
Yeah, Elanga's definitely the sort of the forgotten man, I think, at the minute. You know, he doesn't really seem to get much game time.
From what I've seen of him, I think he looks sharp. He looks a decent player. Yeah. Like he's one of them where he's probably too good to be on a bench, but is he good enough to be in like a top half Premier League starting 11? It's one of them. Like a loan spell, probably a bit. He won't want to go, but then, like you say, he's got. I think come the end of the season, he'll have a big decision to make loan wise or not. I think.
Absolutely, I wouldn't disagree with that at all.
Apparently,
I've gone.
We didn't get it, but we did.
Well, I've gone for a 3-0 Manchester United win. I think it'll be a repeat of the score we've seen tonight, sadly. I've gone for Rashford to get 2 and the boy Weghorst to get the 3rd. What do you reckon, Matt?
I've gone the same, 3-0.
Scorers?
Rashford, because he seems to really hit a rich vein of form. He'll keep on going. Yeah. Eriksen. It seems like he hasn't scored in ages.
Yep.
And Fred, because I predicted him last time. I'm going to predict him again.
He likes to do it to himself. On the Rashford theme that you just brought up there, they actually just flashed up a stat on the coverage. And since they've come back from the World Cup, I think it said that he played in either 10 or 11 games. He didn't score in one of them. So, yeah, he's certainly hit a purple patch. I mean, he played well during the World Cup. So,
yeah,
he's certainly back on form, shall we say. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of week 24's predictions. So I'm going to close that book up. It's so lovely and shining, filled with hopes and dreams that will inevitably be smashed in a week's time. That's it for your week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to thank these three lovely gentlemen for joining me once again and going through the downs and down of the football world as it comes to a Middlesbrough, Hull and Nottingham Forest perspective. Join us again next week where hopefully the pickings will be much more rich and juicy, shall we say. If you're going to any football this weekend, enjoy, and we'll see you in about a week's time. But for now, goodbye.
So there we go, what do you think of that? Another week of games gone, another week of games to look forward to. Join us next week for more football talk. Before I go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop any reviews you might want to drop. Share the podcast around. Check out the website, it's thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button so that you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.